Yo guys, what is up? Max in our first Descendant video, and today we are going over the best farms of the week. Once again, every week the reactors and where you farm them from rotate. We're going to be going over where the best reactors are farmed this week. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get right into it. So our first farm is going to be for bunny reactors. This is going to be electrical singular reactors that drop for general rounds weapons. I ideally would look for something like a thunder cage reactor. That's what I use on my bunny. And the mission that you're going to want to farm in Grand Square is going to be the Kingston Surveillance Radar. You can run this mission in about 1 minute. I'd recommend bringing bunny, but you're kind of doing like a bit of a, you stay in one area, so you don't need to play bunny to do this. And the reactor roles that you're looking for, depending on what you're going for, but for like general, just like mobbing bunny, I'd look for like skill cost and boost ratio is really nice. Range is not a bad role to get on bunny, but definitely right now on my reactors personally, I'm trying to prioritize getting skill cost and like a boost ratio of electric or singular for her to make her deal more damage. For bossing, you would want a boost ratio plus damage to Colossus on her, but that is just specifically for bossing. Our next farm is for Blair. These are going to be fire dimension reactors. For general rounds, you're ideally looking for an enduring legacy reactor for Blair. Now, this farm that you can do for him is actually really interesting. It's in Moongrave Basin on White Knight Gulch. You're going to want to run the mission Water Cooling Recording Device. This is a seizure mission where there's like an A and B objective. You're going to want to go to the objective in the big cave, not out in the open. And then ideally, you are running a non-high voltage bunny or another mobbing descendant, and your goal is to let one of the ranged mobs, one of the ones that shoot at a distance, to get into the like circle, so that you aren't able to progress the mission. You don't need to stand in the circle. It just automatically progresses if there's no enemy standing in it. But if you let an enemy at the start of the mission get into the circle and then stay away from them and just kind of farm the outskirts, you can run this mission for 3 minutes with constant ad spawning. You want to use not high voltage bunny because then you can't really control what your 3 targets and the range is a little bit too big. But you're kind of staying on the outskirts, killing a bunch of enemies. You can use Blair for this farm. You could use Valby for this farm. You could use Viesa for this farm. Anything that you can control your damage, you just leave one mob alive in the circle, and you're able to farm this very, very efficiently. Now, this is going to be a Blair Reactor. Blair just got buffed. I put out a build video for him like 2 days ago. He is much stronger, and for like bossing, you're looking for like crit damage to Colossus, or like boost ratio damage to Colossus. For his like general mobbing build, I'd look for a crit damage roll with a boost ratio. Is really nice. Cooldown with the boost ratio is really nice. He doesn't need any sort of like skill cost. And you could also go for, you don't really need crit chance on Blair simply because he can get to 100% crit chance with a single crit mod. So yeah, crit damage and a boost ratio, or crit damage and like range would be really, really nice for him. Next up, we've got a Valby / Gley / Enzo farm that is going to be in White Knight Gulch on the Hatchery. Now, Hatchery is not the greatest place to farm for stuff. It's pretty complicated layout, and there's not too many great missions here. I'd recommend running lower Hatchery. You can run the start of this and then abandon it and then run it again if you'd like. There is also an outpost that you can farm if you want to go that route. You're going to be looking for, this is a non-attribute dimension general rounds reactor. Obviously, for the different characters, you're looking for different things. Showing on screen should be the ideal layout role if you're looking for a Valby reactor, a Gley reactor, and a Enzo reactor. Obviously, very different roles for different characters, but this is a solid farm if you haven't gotten one. There was a really good farm like this previous week, so hopefully you farmed that for like some god tier Valby, Gley, Enzo reactors. I got some really nutty ones, but if you didn't do that or missed out on that, then try to get some this week. Our last farm is for a Hailey Our last farm is in Vesper's Timberfall. Now, this farm is going to be for Hailey gun reactors. Hailey is incredibly powerful with her skills, and there's not a skill reactor for her this week, but she's also really good with using guns. And if you wanted to use a gun on her, there's a cool farm this week in Vesper's Timberfall. Obviously, if you're not relying on your skill damage, you don't need to worry about your reactor all that much. But if you wanted to do some damage with your skills and have a cool reactor, a Chill Dimension reactor is droppings in Timberfall, which is going to buff up the damage of her 1. It's also special rounds, which means that you can get a Greg's Reversed Fate with this. She can make the Greg's Reversed Fate have a 100% crit hit rate, and Greg's Reversed Fate, the meteors that come down scale off of the impact damage. So it works really well with Hailey because she can make every single hit crit, which is disgusting. And she can make a 50% debuff for those things. So the meteor hits are going to be hitting more. Greg's is just disgusting on her. If you're looking at taking Hailey into a gluttony fight, for example, this is a really good reactor that you could farm for her. The mission that I'm going to be recommending, originally I thought Ancient Giant Tree would be the best. The mission I ended up liking the most, however, was Timberfall Power Facility. You basically just run around to kill a bunch of enemies, and then you got to pick something up, put it into the power thing to shut it down, and you can run this pretty quickly and get a bunch of reactors for her. Once again, not overly important to get a specific reactor for her gun build, but if you do, you're really looking for skill cost reduction and cooldown. Our very last farm, just to mention it, is in Hagios in the Corrupted Zone. I'd recommend farming the mission Deep Digger. You can either do this all the way through or just do the first area and then abandon it. It's the same kind of power shutdown type of mission. This is dropping Freyna reactors that are going to be toxic tech with general rounds. Now, this could net you a good Python or Fallen Hope reactor. I still think Secret Garden is going to be the play for Freyna, but obviously she's getting reworked, and with that, we could see some buffs to things like the Fallen Hope. So if you don't have a Freyna reactor, not a terrible one to grab one. But once again, in the current state, I would recommend a Secret Garden mounting over anything. But once again, this is an available farm, and it's a pretty decent one if you want to check it out. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Peace.